We're live.
We live. Yo. So, MSNBC fired Ann Reid. Oh, weren't you interviewed by her before?
Yeah, I was interviewed by Ann Reid, but that was way back when she was still like the editor-in-chief of the Griot or something like that, and just a correspondent on MSNBC. Look, but they fired all of the people of color that had prime time slots.
Yeah, and actually, if I'm not mistaken, all the people that they fired were people of color. Because Katie Fang had a show on the weekend, and she was on point.
Yeah, she was. She was.
If you
haven't checked her out, look back at some of her old stuff, right?
Yeah.
So she was fired too.
She got fired too.
All right. So between the proposed budget cuts that just passed Congress 2 days ago, right? So between those proposed budget cuts and the federal government firing everybody and anybody that they can unjustly, because they're saying it's for performance, right? Unjustly, and the corporations obeying in advance, Black folks must prepare. We must prepare for potential layoffs or for the probable recession.
Now, you and I have lived through no less than 5 recessions and the Great Recession caused by greed and corruption.
Yeah. Yeah. And it took a Black man to get us out of that crap, right? Right? It took a Black man to get us out of the last Great Recession. I'm just saying.
But because of some smart financial choices and our side hustles, we didn't miss a beat.
That's right. Not even with 2 layoffs. I got laid off twice.
Yeah, you did.
I got laid off twice. Look, and I dealt with that during that period. So, okay, all right. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the Trump budget cuts and how that will affect our community, the layoffs, and how that's going to affect us as well. And so you ready to get started?
We should introduce ourselves first.
Hey, y'all. My name's Halisi.
And I'm Rick. Welcome to our Black Utopia.
On our channel, we talk about money, we talk about travel and retiring abroad.
Did I say something wrong?
We help folks who look like us, who are getting close to retirement age and forgot to plan, get their money straight so that they can retire on time or maybe even abroad. All right, sweetie. So what are we talking about today?
So we're talking about the 5 steps African Americans should take to prepare for a possible upcoming recession.
Okay. All right.
First, we have to tell y'all how all of Trump's BS is going to affect our community.
Then we'll lay out what you can do financially to prepare yourself for a probable recession. Because the bottom line is, if we do not have a recession, a major recession in the United States, it will be a miracle. And we do not want you to have to deal with that, right? So, but first, if you're new to our channel, then you might not know.
Might not.
During the last time the melon felon was in office.
The orange turd was in office.
Right? We looked at our money and it looked crazy. But we got our financial act together and we went from negative 22,000 to over 1.1 million in net worth, y'all. If we can do it, you can do it too. So if you find any of that interesting, if you like what we are talking about, if you like the fact that we live in Lisbon, Portugal, please subscribe, hit that notification bell twice so that you know every single time that we drop a new video or go live, and hit that thumbs up, please, if you find this information interesting. The firing of Ann Reid felt personal.
It did.
It felt personal.
It was.
It felt personal. And I think, number one, she's from Denver, Colorado, y'all. All right. She is a Denver high school graduate. So that's number one. Number two, when I was very early in my political, I'm not going to call it a career, but I'm going to call it journey. She was one of the first people to interview me. And that was when I was at the DNC. So this really, really felt personal. She is one of the most gifted commentators on television, right?
Yeah.
I don't understand. Like, if this is about a meritocracy, then I thought that people with higher ratings would be able to keep their shows.
Yeah.
And the people with lower ratings, Joe Scarborough, would not.
But you know, these jobs ain't loyal.
They're not.
These jobs
are not loyal. These jobs ain't loyal, which is why Black folks need to get their money straight and get their money straight. And I believe leave the United States. We're on a mission, y'all. We believe that all free-thinking Black folks need to leave the United States. They do not deserve all of your Black brilliance, as my friend Rashida would say, right? So leave the United States, find a remote job, get your money straight, and leave for a lower cost of living.
Get a lower cost of living, y'all.
Oh, speaking of which, our meetup is coming up. Okay, if you're watching from the future, hope the future is bright. This is Thursday. On Thursday, we do our Thursday shorts. We do not answer questions from the audience, but we are answering one of the questions from the audience. And that is what we are talking about today.
Right.
So let us know in the chat if you're coming to our June meetup. What date is it?
16th and 17th.
That's right. June 16th and 17th. We are meeting here in Lisbon, Portugal. And information is all in the description below. I might put it in the comments at some point, or the chat, actually. But if you're coming, this could be an excuse, right? To do a scouting trip or something else.
So we got a whole agenda for you looking to have an excuse to visit Portugal, scout Lisbon, or let this be your move day if you're going to do that.
That's right. We always suggest that if you are choosing a major sabbatical, vacation, or scouting trip, or a move date out of the United States, first of all, moving out of the United States is not as hard as you think. No. It's not about giving up citizenship. It's not about giving up any reparations that you think we're supposed to get or might get that does not look probable, or any of those other things, fortunately and unfortunately. It's easier than you think, but it does take making sure your money is straight. So you can let this be your move date, June 16th and 17th, right?
16th and 17th.
All right. These jobs ain't loyal. And not only that, they're not about meritocracy, because if they were about meritocracy, which some folks want to say America is all about.
Well, if that were the case, they would have fired the ones with lower ratings.
Just got wrong.
But instead
they fired the person that pissed somebody off. That's what they did.
So
that's the truth, right? Somebody who was telling the truth.
So you can't speak truth to power? Is that what it's all about?
Yeah. Free speech is not a thing. Because these corporations are obeying in advance. Yeah. We already did the episode on tyranny. We already told you what the signs of tyranny was and how you combat it. We've already talked about that. And one of the things is obeying in advance.
Yeah, exactly.
Bending the knee before he even asks. And that's what they did.
And that's why we need to be financially prepared for what is coming.
That's right. So let's talk about the last actions of the Mellon felon, how this will affect Black folks. All right. So the current budget proposals that passed the House of Representatives includes
cuts to Medicaid. And they didn't already started that, but they're trying to do it in a sneaky way where they don't have to just blurt it out there for you.
So for those of you who are not aware of how this thing works, what the budget said. So first of all, Medicaid is under the Energy and Commerce, the Department of Energy and Commerce, or the Commission on Energy and Commerce. Mm-hmm. When you get a bill passed, it has to first go through committee. All right. So the Committee for Energy and Commerce is in charge of Medicaid and healthcare services and some other stuff as well. Obviously, commerce, right? So you send something to Energy and Commerce and you say, all right, y'all in charge of $1 trillion. $1 trillion is under your purview. $1 trillion is what you have to allocate to all of the things that you are overseeing. Now, Congress allocates that, but then it is the committees that actually do the dirty work, right? Like get down into the nitty gritty. And so, all right, so I don't know, because they don't have it listed, what the budget is for that committee. But let's just say it's $1 trillion. I know what the budget is for Medicare, because they can't hide that. But I don't know how much is under the purview of this committee. Let's just say it's 120. Now, Medicaid is $871 billion. They're trying to cut $1.9 trillion. $1.9 trillion between the whole thing.
Let's just round it up to 2.
The whole thing, right? But your committee has been, let's see, they have been tasked with cutting $880 billion. All right, so a committee that's in charge of, I don't know, 1 trillion, 1.5 trillion, let's just say 2 trillion. You have been tasked with cutting $880 billion from your purview. And Medicaid, and all of you who think you don't know nobody who's on Medicaid, I bet you do. Medicaid is $871 billion, 45% of the total cuts. And you think it ain't going to be touched? Let's talk about what's under Medicaid. First of all, before we even get into that, let me see if I have it under here, because I think I might have forgotten. Yeah. I'll say it at the end. Go ahead. All right. So what is under Medicaid, y'all? Because you need to be planning financially if you are the sandwich generation, if you have kids, if you have elderly parents or aging parents. Listen closely. What does Medicaid cover? I'm sorry. And in California, Medicaid is called Medi-Cal. So for those of you who are in California and you don't realize that Medi-Cal is Medicaid, it is. All right.
So things under Medicaid or Medi-Cal, if you're in California, is long-term care in nursing homes. Long-term care, let that sink in nursing homes.
That means anyone with dementia, anyone who's been in an extreme car accident and has been left with a disability, especially a mobility disability, any disability that prevents you from bathing yourself, feeding yourself, washing yourself. You get the point, right? You get the point.
Life-altering illnesses.
That too, right? Yes. A life-altering illness, an accident, any of those things could put you in long-term care, not just dementia, not just poor health, not just a poor lifestyle. Mm-hmm. The ACA, Obamacare, is based upon Medicare. What else will be cut if they cut Medicaid? I'm sorry, Medicaid. What else will be cut if they cut Medicaid?
Maternal and child health programs.
Now, it's bad enough that our most educated women in the United States die from a higher death rate from trying to deliver a child than a white woman who has dropped out of high school. That's bad enough. But now you want to cut aid to folks who don't even have this money? Yeah. Who don't even have these terminal degrees like an MD, PhD, Esquire, and all that stuff.
Yeah. Plus, you want, it's going to cut into prenatal.
That's right. That's
and
right.
Well, baby care. for millions of Black mothers.
That's right. So we're talking about those pediatrician visits and everything like that. That's what will be cut for folks who are on Obamacare. And I want to talk about how Obamacare will affect our money, cutting into that. So help me remember, because I'm not sure if I wrote that down in one of the bullet points, but it will also cut into substance abuse and mental health care treatments. Because that's what we need. We need some folks who are working and living paycheck to paycheck.
Yes.
Right? Or are in poverty to not have access to mental health care. That's what we want. That's a good America, don't you think? What are we doing, folks?
Yeah.
What are we doing? What else does it cut into?
Preventive and primary care.
The ACA, the Affordable Care Act, Obamacare, right? The Medicaid expansion, just to explain, Medicaid were for people who were in poverty. And then after the Affordable Care Act, they raised the amount of money that you could make to qualify for Medicaid for the states that did Medicaid expansion. So that means, like, back in the day, if you made $50,000 a year as a family, you did not qualify. And if your job did not have health care for you and or your family, you were just SOL. After Obamacare / the ACA, if you made $50,000 a year, you still qualified. $70,000 a year, you could still qualify for the Affordable Care Act for Obamacare. And so I'm going to just say it right now. If you are an entrepreneur, just think what this is going to do to entrepreneurs. Just think what this is going to do with small businesses that have 1, 2, 3, 4 employees.
Right.
Right? If Medicaid gets cut, which will hamper the ACA and or Obamacare, right? Obamacare and ACA are the same thing, right? Then that keeps you stuck at those corporations that are obeying in advance and, oh yeah, that's right, laying us off because no longer do they get sued for discriminatory practices.
No, they don't.
No, they don't. If they cut the $871 billion or even a good chunk of that from Medicaid, what else will we lose?
School-based health services.
Remember when we were kids and the doctors would come to our class and we would have those eye tests and ear tests and all of that? Guess what paid for that?
Yeah.
Guess what paid for that? And so there was a time in America that we thought, because they didn't say, okay, whose parent can't afford to get them tested? No, they just tested all of us. And they sent the results to the parents. Some parents already knew because they had had their checkups, our parents, thankfully, right? But I'm sure there were some parents that were like, oh, wow, okay, let me take him to get glasses. Let me take her to get a hearing aid, et cetera, et cetera. Those are going to be gone, which means some kids who cannot see the board or cannot hear the teacher will be left behind, because that's what we want. Right. And then also a loss of in-school mental health services. So more killings in our schools, right? More kids getting their daddy or their mama's gun and coming to school and shooting up folks. That's what I see.
Yeah.
That's what I see.
These are just some of the programs that will, the resources, get their resources through Medicaid.
Right. There are more.
There's a whole lot more.
There are more. But these were the things that seem to impact us the most directly and the most quickly.
Let's go to his other policies.
How about them tariffs?
Tariffs.
Y'all know what a tariff is, right? Right? We're going to tax China.
Yeah.
We're going to tax Mexico. We're going to tax Canada. Right? Isn't that what we're doing?
Yeah.
Yeah. The market has been going crazy. The market has been going crazy with all of these stupid executive orders. Tariffs on imports from Mexico, Canada, and China have led to market instability.
Yeah.
and consumer uncertainty.
Yeah, and tariffs going to raise the prices.
Bottom line. Bottom line.
They're just going to raise. Somebody's got to pay for it.
That's right. That's right. However,
market uncertainty leads to lower stock prices.
The market will be on sale, y'all. I hate to say this.
Maybe you shouldn't say it.
But I'm going to say it.
Okay.
Millionaires are made during recessions.
True.
Millionaires are made during recessions, y'all. Stop spending. Tomorrow is the no spend day. Participate, right? February 28th, the no spend day. Keep boycotting Target and all of these places. Save your money and get ready to invest when the market is down. I hate to say this, but during the Great Recession, how many people lost their houses and how many people bought houses for pennies on a dollar?
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. But when prices go up, that usually means Black folks are spending a larger portion of their income on the basics like food, utilities, and etc.
Yeah. A higher proportion of our income because we have never been paid equitably, right? We have never been paid equitably. But now here's the kicker, and this is why this is so important. Here's the kicker. We've never been paid equitably except for in the government.
Get you one of them good government jobs.
Except for in the government. Yes. All right, so let's talk about the illegal fake department. The illegal fake department of the government efficiency, otherwise known as
Doge. Federal employee layoffs and proposed reductions.
Right? They keep giving folks ultimatums in hopes of folks quitting, right? They keep giving them ultimatums.
Yeah.
Like you must come into the office 5 days a week, right?
Yeah, that's crazy. You must submit what you have done in the last week or be fired.
Who the F are you?
Be fired.
I mean, could you imagine? Let's just say you work for a corporation. Let's just say it's a small company of like 20 people. And the CEO's best friend sent you an email saying, what did you do last week? Let me know. Or if you don't, I consider that a resignation. Because that's basically what the F is going on. Like this man has no official title. He does not work for the government. He is just the melon felon's best friend. And he decided, because he's got access to the house, to the company, that he's going to send out an email. One of the reasons white supremacists want to always shrink the federal government is because they understand that 20% of government employees are Black. You ever wonder why the GOP was so obsessed with shrinking the government? This is why. Because the government made the laws. The laws are you cannot discriminate. They had to follow their own laws, which means that once we had equal access, we got hired disproportionately in consideration of who we are in the country, right? So we are only 14% of the population in the country. We're overrepresented. We're 20% of the population of government employees.
Yeah, and the Black families who help depend on stable government jobs.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. They know that.
Hell, this is what helped build the middle class.
That's what I was about to say. But they were all DEI hires, right? DEI hires.
They came before DEI.
Affirmative action then, right?
Oh, okay, whatever.
Whatever it is, if they're a person of color, they ain't qualified. If they're women, they're not qualified. If they have a disability, they're not qualified. If they're a veteran, they're not qualified, because those are all of the people who benefit from affirmative action. It is crazy.
So the question is you need to ask yourself?
Yeah.
How will we know when the economy is slowing down?
The job market will be sluggish.
The housing market will be sluggish.
Most Black Americans' wealth is tied up in their homes. All right. So I want you all to watch this carefully. If you have the majority of your wealth in your home, you need to consider something to do about that. And I don't want to suggest what to do about that. Part of me is saying that we're going to sell one of our homes in one of the places that does not retain value as well as the other. That's what we're considering, to sell it while the getting's good. And I hate to do it, but I'm not willing to play this game with white supremacists who would rather make sure that they were on top of a rubble pit than share utopia with people of color.
It's insane. That's insane.
They would rather be on top of a rubble pit than share utopia with people of color. Right? So if the feds cut the interest rate, it may for a minute help our housing prices. We got to see what they're going to do. But if Trump is doing how he always does, as a melon felon is doing what he always does, and he is going to try to stop the feds from doing whatever they want to do, because that's supposed to be an independent agency, but he's no respecter of persons. Yeah. No respecter of rules, laws, and common decency.
No, and Black-owned business is already vulnerable due to limited access to capital and systemic barriers,
right,
may face even greater challenges in an unstable economy.
Right? And think about if they gut ACA, and a lot of Black businesses are depending upon the ACA to provide that benefit for their employees. Or you want to quit your job and be a solopreneur, right? Work for yourself, either freelancing, consulting, or doing what we're doing, whatever, right? And you're depending upon the ACA, as I do, for your insurance. How's this going to work out? See how that works? See how it's all circular? Community investment programs, educational initiatives, and health services supporting Black communities will face funding cuts.
Yep. Exasperating long-term disparities.
That's right. That's right. So.
Not exacerbating.
They knew what you was talking about. They knew what you was talking about, right? They knew what you were talking about, right? When America catches a cold, Black America catches the flu, we know how it goes. Yeah. We know how it goes. And in these days, I say we catch pneumonia because these people have lost their minds. All right, so here's the solid game plan. Y'all, just like you should have a diverse portfolio of investments, right. You also have to have...
You got to have some side hustles going on.
That's how he puts it. I put it like diverse income streams.
Okay.
Diverse income streams.
That too. Other means of making money.
That's right. That's right.
So first thing you got to do is identify your niche and your strengths.
Choose a business idea. All right. First of all, everyone should have a side hustle. All right. Everyone should have a side hustle. We have always had a side hustle. Most Black people have always had 2 tree job, right? We've got 2 tree job. Identify your niche and strengths. Choose a business idea based on your skills and passions, not the other way around. Conventional wisdom would say, identify where there's a need and then provide that service. But what if you're not good at it? What if you don't like it? That's not sustainable. That's not what we like. That's probably what you're doing on your job. All right. That's not what we're asking you to do. Because with the internet, you have access to billions and billions of people. Right?
Have access to the world.
Right? So instead of finding something that you think will make money and then doing that thing, find the thing that you're interested in and then find other folks who are interested in that same thing. What are you selling? Number 2, what are you selling? Yeah. Everybody's selling something.
Yeah.
All right? Rick and I sell hope. Rick and I sell making your dreams come true. Rick and I sell financial independence. Rick and I sell retiring abroad. Rick and I sell
a new way of thinking.
A new way of thinking. What are you selling? What are you selling? And who's interested in it? Okay. So that's number 2. Number 3.
Create a brand and online presence.
Folks, I know we don't like Meta. I know we want to be on the DL, move in silence. Now is not the time. Now is not the time. Now is the time to let our community, that means Black folks, let our community know what you are doing, because we are in the season of supporting each other. We are back to segregating ourselves somewhat voluntarily. Look, if they gonna do what they gonna do, we need to do what we gonna do. All right? Black women, we taking a rest, right? We're stepping back. We're letting them do their thing. They can fix the shit that they fucked up. And in the meantime, in between time, we're going to rebuild our community that they helped destroy through faulty integration. So identify your niche and your strengths. Identify what you are selling. Create a brand and online presence. You do not have a choice.
Yeah.
You do not have a choice. We are on Fanbase. We are on Fanbase, besides YouTube, of course, because you're watching us right now on YouTube. We are on Fanbase. We are going to invest in Fanbase.
We're going to invest in Fanbase.
All right. This is Isaac Hayes Jr. or the third?
The third.
Isaac Hayes the third's platform that he is raising money for. It is robust. It is a great platform. It doesn't seem to be buggy, right? Because this is a hard thing to do, but he has figured out a way to do it. And we're not only going to support him, but we are going to create content for Fanbase. And eventually we will be leaving Meta. All right. We will be leaving Meta. We are also on Blue Sky. We don't post there often enough, but we will. Of course, we have Fire Over 50, our Facebook group. That Facebook group will probably be moving in the future at some point. But for right now, it's on Facebook. You do have to be of the diaspora. You do not have to be over 50.
Yes.
Right? We're on Instagram. We are no longer posting on Instagram. We have moved over to Fanbase. Okay. And of course, we're on YouTube. You have to have an online presence. Even when I was in the W-2 employee world, when I would get resumes, the first thing I would do was Google them. If they did not have anything online, trash bin. I don't trust you. I don't know who you are. I don't know who you are. So trash bin. I don't even want to try to figure it out. If you don't exist online, you ain't got nothing for me. And I've been a hiring manager for a long time. So that's the reality. If you have been in your job for a long time and you don't know that this is the reality, this is the reality. So, number 1, identify your niche and strengths. Number 2, what are you selling? Number 3, create your brand and online presence. Number 4,
start educating and wowing potential clients.
Use your network to become the subject matter expert in your thing. And then after educating them, you can follow that up with your call to action. Sign up for this. Sign up for my newsletter. Sign up for my tips and tricks. Follow me on LinkedIn. Follow me on Fanbase, whatever your call to action is, right? But what you want to do is give more than you take. Give more than you take. And for all of you out there who always say, oh, y'all just running away. You gonna leave all of us in America and you ain't helping the community and blah, 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 blah. We're not getting paid to do this right now. Nobody's paying us. This is our give back. This is our give more than we take. And because those people are in the minority and we love our community, our fellow utopians, we gonna keep giving. So number 4, start educating and wowing potential clients. Let them know how brilliant you are. And number 5, create a way for your clients to hire you, book time with you, pay for your product. All right. Those are the basics. Do not spend more than $1,000 or so starting a business. All of this, it's going to take 10,000, 50. No. That's so last millennia, last century. That's so last century.
And you want to have business you can move with.
That part. right? So don't buy into any of these things online, pay me $10,000 and I'll give you a kit to help you do X, Y, Z. I don't know what that stuff is. All I know is if you're watching us and you're over 40 or you're 40 and over, you have expertise. If you're 40 and under, you know something that people younger than you don't know. Teach them that thing and then find a way for them to learn more from you for a price. Make that money. In the past 2 years, Rick and I have probably made close to $60,000 to $100,000 or so. YouTube and YouTube related activities. Okay. 2.5, 3 years, maybe the whole time we've been doing YouTube. I say that to say that plus little extra money saved, we good. We good. We still have our 2 years living expenses saved plus some.
Right.
Plus some, right? We have not touched our brokerage firms, our IRA, our old 401ks. We have not touched any of that, even though we are old enough to touch it without getting the penalty, right? We haven't touched it. Don't need to touch it. We'll have to touch it when he becomes a certain age, but we ain't touched it. We don't have to touch it, right? So none of that. We've added to it, actually. We have been adding to it.
Yes,
we want this for you. If you find this information interesting, hit that thumbs up. There's almost 400 people watching. I hope we have 400 likes. All right. We will see you on Sunday. But in the meantime, in between time, if you have more questions, book a call with us. That information is in the description below. We have a program. We do have a program for financial independence. And this is financial independence for late bloomers like ourselves, right? The people who started late, the people who didn't know what to do back in their 20s and 30s or did not have access in their 20s and 30s, right? And are looking around and saying, oh my God, WTF. We have a program for you. It's called Beyond the Bling. That information is in the description below. Yes. Join our community, Facebook Fire Over 50, our Facebook group. And with that,
well, join definitely join our boot camps, our side hustle challenges.
Exactly.
All the above.
Right. Get on our tips and tricks email list. That information is below, and you'll know the next time we do a side hustle challenge. Today, this is week 5 of our current side hustle challenge cohort. We probably won't do another one again for a few months, but if you want to know when we start it again, we will lead you from idea to launch, to business launch in 5 weeks. That's the promise. From idea to business launch in 5 weeks. If you want to know how to do that, sign up for our email list so you know the next time we launch our Side Hustle Challenge. And we will see you on Sunday. Love y'all.